Lesson 7.3, percent of change. This is one type of application involving percents that, again, is something that you'll need to know for the proficiency. A percent of change indicates how much a quantity increases or decreases with respect to the original amount. So if the new amount is greater than the original amount, you've got a percent of increase, right? And if the new amount is smaller or less than the original amount, you have a percent of decrease. But we use the same formula to find whether it's an increase or a decrease, and that's the percent of change formula. The percent of change is a ratio, right? We talked about ratios, of the amount of increase or decrease to the original amount. Remember, it's always being compared to the original amount, and since we're going to change it to a percent, we set up a proportion. Percent over 100 equals the change over the original amount. Okay, let's find the percent of change. I have three examples all in a row here in which we're looking for the percent of change. Now, what you have to do to find the change, of course, is to subtract the two amounts. Now, if you want it to be a stickler, you should always do new amount minus original amount. That way, if it's an increase, it'll be positive. If it's a decrease, it'll be negative. But I'm not that much worried about the positive and negative. As long as you look at the overall, what the problem is trying to find, you'll know if it's an increase or decrease by looking at the original problem. So over here, I'm going to say x over 100 equals the change, which is the difference here, 5, always compare it to the original amount, 20. So I cross multiply, 20x equals 500, divide by 20, x equals 25. Now you can see it went bigger, so this is a 25% increase. And I'm going to put that word increase down to indicate what type of change we have. The next example, x over 100 equals, now the difference here of those two, if you subtract, it's 39. 189 minus 150 is 39. I'm going to compare it to the 150. So again, I cross multiply, I have 150x equals 3,900. I'm going to divide both sides by 150. X equals, I can knock off a 0 top and bottom there, so I actually have 390 divided by 15. It goes in 26 times, it looks like. And again, the amount got bigger, so this is a 26% increase. It doesn't come out evenly. If it looks like it's going to be some long decimal, just round it to the nearest tenth or whatever the directions would indicate. Next example. Here I'm going from 200 down to 132. This is going to be a decrease. X over 100 equals, the difference between the two is 68. I'm going to put that and compare it to the 200 original amount. Now I'm going to cross multiply. 6,800, divide both sides by 200. And I get x equals, I can knock off 2 zeros top and bottom, 34. 68 divided by 2, so that's a 34% this time decrease. So these first three examples here show you how to find the percent of change using the formula from before. Now I'm going to alter the problem just a little bit. I'm going to find a new amount given the percent of change. See, I'm going to start with 120, but I'm going to increase it by a percent of change of 70%. I want to know what that new amount is going to be. So because I'm increasing it, I get all 100% back and 70% more. So I'm going to take 100 plus 70%, or 170%. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 170%, I'm going to change it to a decimal, and I'm going to write that my new amount is going to be 170. Well, first I'm going to write it as 170% of 120. So that's going to be, sliding it twice, 1.7 times 120. So 120 times 1.7, that's a 0, a 4, carry a 1, that's an 8. And a 0, a 2, and a 1. That's a 0, a 4, a 0, carry 1, and a 2. With one decimal spot, I get 204. That will be the new amount. It's an increase by 70%. Now, the second part here is a decrease. So I'm decreasing this number 80 by 35%. So I'm not getting the original number all back. I'm getting the original number back minus 35%. So this time I take 100 minus 35. which is 65%. So my number is going to be 65% of 80. Now you can use this approach when you're looking at like a markup in a price or like a discount on a cost of something, and you can use this approach to help you with those. 65% of 80, 65%, that would be slide 2 places to the left, 0.65 times 80. So 0.65 times 80, that's a 0, that's a 0, carry a 4, that's a 52 with 2 decimal places, 52.00 or 52. So if you decrease 80 by 35%, that is equal to 52. All right, remember the formula and look over these last couple of examples for finding the new amounts, but most of all, practice, practice, practice.